Everyone, welcome back to Truthful Solar. We're going to carry on with our extensive testing of this Oupes Exodus 2400 portable power pack. Unfortunately, found a problem. I'm not going to get into it straight away. We're going to loads more testing and then I'll explain at the end of the video. But, you know, as always, I don't think I've tested one of these units and I've not found a problem. But we'll get to that at the end of the video anyway. Right. So what we're going to do today is we're going to test the surge capability of this unit. According to the Oupes website, I've got my notes in front of me so I don't get this information wrong. According to the Oupes website, this is supposed to be capable of surging to 4,500 watts for a split second. There's virtually no easy way of testing that. Each one of these AC outlets is 13 amps. Which means they're only capable of running 2,990 watts, which is a standard 13 amp UK plug anyway. So you wouldn't be able to run more than just shy of 3,000 watts from each outlet. So you can't even surge from one plug. But what I can do is test the boost and surge capability of just the one plug. So Oupes says that this unit is capable of boosting up to 2,600 watts. And a continuous output of 2,400 watts. So what we've got is a watt meter, and if you ever want to do surge testing or if you want to do a capacity discharge test, these are brilliant because it just has all the information. You can use one of these Wi-Fi plugs as well, but for this test we're going to use one of these. So what we've got here, this is a 3,000 watt kettle, so it's actually perfect for this test. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a load of quick surge testing and we're going to write down what the highest watt output we get from the 13 amp plug. Okay, so what we do is we go through the settings, and what you've got here is, I'm going to bring the camera in because you're probably not going to be able to see it, but you can record what the highest wattage is recorded. So we're going to do it a few times and we're going to see what we get. So I'm just going to bring the camera in a little bit closer and hopefully you can see. Right, so that's about as close as I could probably to keep it in focus. So what you can see here is you can see that it's showing 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip the kettle on and then it will record the highest surge that the kettle's able to produce. So you can see there it went up to 2,806 watts. So, you know, we could record that and then see if it's consistent. So 2,806 watts. So then we can reset it and then you go through again. So high watts, we switch it on. That only recorded 2,674. And then what we can do is, rather than keep going through and resetting, so we got 2,729. And we'll see if we can get it to surge higher than that. 2,808. So it didn't surge past 2,808. Right, so we actually got an overload on the watt meter. So that's quite interesting because on the back of the watt meter, if I was to disconnect this and have a look, the maximum that this is capable of surging to is actually 2,900 watts. So if you get an overload come up on the screen, it generally means that it surged over 2,900 watts. So I was hoping to get as close to the 2,900 as I can without it overloading. So we'll give it another go. 2,734, 2,778. So yeah, the most I've had been able to get this to surge to prior to this was 2,843 watts. So Oupes claims of the boost functions 2,600 watts. I would say it 100% passes that test. And I would say that these outlets are capable of running at the 2,900 watts, or so I thought. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to go to volts, and this is a big issue with a lot of these units when you do a surge test. So at the moment we're reading 230 volts, well 230 volts 0.7. Now when you do a surge test on these units, ideally you want the volts to stay the same. In the UK, generally our voltage for UK appliances is between 220 volts, I believe, to 253. That's the maximum tolerances between low and high. Now with this unit, if it drops below 220 volts while surging, it means that there's potential to damage certain things like your laptops, your fridges, things like that. So what we're going to do now is when we do our surge test, we're going to have a look at the volts to see what it drops to. So that was 222.4, 222 volts, 0.5, 222.5. So it does fall within the safety tolerances of voltage drop, but we've got almost a full battery, and you won't get a true idea of how much the voltage will drop until you run the battery down to like 20%. With LiFePO4, you get a very quick drop off with regards the batteries once they start getting low. So what we're going to do is we're going to charge it back up to 100%, do a discharge capacity test, and then do the same surge testing when we've only got 25% left in the batteries. I mentioned about the issues that I found with this unit, so I'll discuss them now. We've got to the end of the video. If you've carried on to the end of the video, then you deserve to see what the problem is. Right, so you can see we've got 100% there. We've got nothing on apart from the screen. Bluetooth and Wi-Fi is on. That's the only thing that I maybe think that could be causing this problem. And the information that I've got is also mirrored in the app, which I'll put up on the screen as well. So basically what happens is it gets to 100%, and I've done this a couple of times, and what happens is, if you can see that, is it continuously puts this like trickle charge according to the watt meter. This is going into the back of the Opus, and the other end is going into the main, so I'm charging it off the house at the moment. And what it does, despite being at 100%, you constantly get this trickle charge of like 28 to 33 watts going into this machine, this Opus Exodus. And it'll do that for hours. I mean, I was charging this for 5 hours the other day, and even though the capacity had already reached its maximum, which was 2,632 watt hours, and even though this is only 2,232 watt hours, the reason why you're putting more in is because of the conversion loss between the AC and then converting it into the DC, which is the batteries. So that is normal. What's not normal is for this constant trickle charge coming out of the house and going into the batteries. Once it's charged, it should be charged, and then it should shut off. And it doesn't do that. It's really weird. So yeah, I don't really know what's going on. I thought maybe it's like the BMS trying to recalibrate itself. Then I thought, is this 30 watts trying to maintain the screen being on and the Wi-Fi being on? I just don't really know. So yeah, any ideas out there? Maybe give me a heads up. I'm very confused at this point why, even though this is fully charged, why you're continuously putting in 30 watts. So yeah, it just keeps on going on and on for hours and hours. It just doesn't change. So I did send Opus a email on Amazon and said, look, found a problem with the machine. It doesn't stop charging. It doesn't switch off. It just keeps charging and charging. Any ideas what's wrong with it? Is it a fault? Is it normal? So yeah, that's the issue that I found. Hopefully you guys out there might know something I don't. Let me know in the comments. Cheers, everyone.